Hi, it's Minnie. You're watching Don't Share Boxing Nation.
What's going on, guys? Just letting you know, I actually did this video before the video I just dropped where I reported the Charlo's pay-per-view numbers. So check it out.
You know, I always say on this channel, pay-per-view fights should actually be free. And now the day has come where I'm about to hook you up with an app where you can watch all your pay-per-view events, boxing, UFC, etc. for free. I want to introduce Block TV, the best internet streaming television app out there. They provide over 3,600 channels, including HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz. They have a massive video on demand library with over 40,000 of the new release movies and the latest TV series. And it also includes DVR. So you're getting all of this for $34.99 a month. And once again, that includes free pay-per-view. So this one right here is a no-brainer, guys, because back in Las Vegas, I was paying damn near $200 a month for my cable. Those days are long gone now. So to get the app, make sure you guys go over to getblocktv.com and put in my promo code and get 30% off your first month. You also get a free month for every friend you refer. The promo code is DBNation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Canelo Alvarez has a lot of problems right now. But the one problem that seems to never go away is the Jermall Charlo problem. This man, Jermall Charlo, has been chasing Canelo Alvarez for 5 years. When Canelo was a champion at 154, and Canelo didn't even have a belt and he was looking for a belt, the champion, Jermall and Jermall at the time, were both calling out Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, instead of him fighting champions like the Charlo brothers or Demetrius Andrade, he waited until Demetrius Andrade got stripped of his WBO belt, and then he ended up fighting the guy they gave the belt to, which was beefy Liam Smith, another European fighter, which is apparently Canelo Alvarez's favorite fighters to fight. So Canelo Alvarez moves up to 160 to find out that his Charlo problem still hasn't gone away. Because guess what? Jermall Charlo, he moves up to 160 as well. Then he becomes Canelo Alvarez's mandatory for damn near 2 years, where the WBC continues to promise Jermall that he's going to get a shot at the champion in his next fight. Mauricio continued to tell Charlo this after almost every fight. In your next fight, after you win your next fight, you'll get your title shot. Then out of nowhere, according to the WBC president, Canelo Alvarez, it was Canelo that requested to vacate his belt, give it to Jermall Charlo, and ask for some type of consolation prize to save face, which was this franchise belt that even the WBC president admitted isn't actually a belt. It's not a title, which is why I told you guys it's really just a trophy. I mean, what the WBO president should have really called that belt was the Canelo belt, because the whole Canelo belt was designed. It was created only for Canelo to avoid Jermall Charlo and save face. Canelo knew it would be a horrible look for him to give up his belt rather than face his #1 contender, which is the most dangerous #1 contender he's ever had to face. Which brings me to the topic at hand. So we all know Canelo Alvarez, he moved up to 168, he moved up to 175, and he goes back and forth. You had a lot of fans almost relieved, a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans, they were relieved, which I don't understand. Because when you listen to these fans, they'll make it seem like, oh, Canelo, he beats the Charlo brothers, or he beats Jermall easy, he beats Andrade easy, etc., etc. But once he moves up, it's almost like the fans were happy, because I see a lot of comments, fans are now saying, well, see, he doesn't have to fight the Charlo brothers anymore because he doesn't fight at 160. But I got some really bad news for you Canelo fans, because Jermall Charlo's trainer just confirmed that Jermall Charlo is not only willing to fight Canelo at 168, he's even willing to fight him at 175. So once again, Canelo is left without an excuse to avoid Jermall Charlo. And I'll tell you guys something else. The walls are closing in very fast on Canelo when it comes to him getting in the ring with Jermall. See, this is usually what happens when you have a boogeyman like Charlo who's been chasing a particular fighter. Usually the boogeyman, he chases that fighter for some time and then he ends up losing. He ends up getting knocked out and then his career starts to tank, right? Do you guys remember when a fighter by the name of Vivian Harris was briefly calling out Floyd Mayweather? Well, about 2 fights after he called out Floyd Mayweather, he ended up getting knocked out. That's just one example. I can give you guys many, but you guys get the point. But see, in Jermall Charlo's case, or maybe I should say in Canelo Alvarez's case, Jermall continues to win. But not only is he winning, it's almost as if Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez are trading places because everything is bad for Canelo right now. So right now, temporarily, Canelo Alvarez is on the decline while Jermall Charlo's star continues to rise. I mean, when it comes to Jermall Charlo's popularity alone, I can tell you guys right now, when I did my post-fight video, and I'll put the images up, when I did my post-fight video for Jermall Charlo and Jermall Charlo's fight this past weekend, combined, the views did over 100,000. As you guys can see on the screen right now, Jermall Charlo's video right now is at 74,000 views. Now look at Canelo Alvarez versus Kovalev's post-fight views. It did almost 27,000 views. And mind you, that video has been sitting up for months already on the internet. So the rise in Jermall Charlo's popularity puts far more pressure on Canelo Alvarez to take this fight. And let me just say something about the pay-per-view. See, this is the reason why I wanted the Charlo card to be on like Fox or Showtime. Because for those of you guys who don't know, the Charlo brothers, they were doing record-breaking numbers when they were fighting on Showtime, when they were fighting on Fox. I think at least twice, the Charlo brothers, they had the highest ratings in boxing in the US when it came to their doubleheader card before. So there's no doubt in my mind, if the Charlo brothers would have fought on Fox, that fight would have did at least 4 to 6 million views. They would have received a tremendous amount of exposure. Now, I don't know how the money adds up, like when it comes to purse, like how they would get paid. I don't know how, their salary is based when it comes to TV ratings. All I know is it would have been huge if the Charlo brothers were fighting on Fox TV or even Showtime. If they would have fought on Showtime, regular Showtime, that fight would have brought in probably 2 to 3 million views, which would have been a huge success. But instead, for some reason, Showtime and the PBC people, they decided to put this fight on pay-per-view, but go up against UFC, against Israel Adesanya, who's basically the new John Jones. He's like the new Michael Jordan of the sport, the new LeBron James of UFC, if you will. And to make things even more challenging, the UFC was actually charging a lot less for their pay-per-view. So you got 2 pay-per-views going head-to-head in the middle of a pandemic where a lot of people are losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their homes. Now people are forced to pick. Am I gonna pick the UFC fight, one of the biggest cards of the year, and it's cheaper? Or am I gonna pick the Charlo brothers at a higher price? And of course, diehard fans, they'll have no problem paying for both. They'll pay for the UFC and they'll pay for the boxing pay-per-view and just go back and forth. But the goal is to get as much exposure as possible while getting paid as much as you can at the same time. But with all of that being said, once again, Charlo's popularity is still on the rise. As you guys can see, those images that I put up of his numbers versus Canelo Alvarez's numbers. There's no doubt about it. Canelo Alvarez's star is starting to dim out a little bit. He no longer has that $365 million deal from DAZN. And truth be told, he may never make that money in his career now. because there's no guarantee he's going to win the lawsuit. First things first, I've already explained to you guys, Canelo Alvarez himself admitted that he's not even on the contract when it comes to getting $365 million. The contract was between Golden Boy and DAZN, not between Canelo Alvarez and DAZN. Canelo is suing DAZN as a third party. And to make things worse, by Canelo's own admission, he's never even seen the DAZN contract. So he doesn't know what's owed to him. That's just more bad news for Canelo Alvarez. And we just heard the news recently that DAZN, to add insult to injury, because the whole reason Canelo is suing DAZN, because he believes he's guaranteed this $32 or $35 million a fight, right? Because of the pandemic and everything else, DAZN, they wanted to cut Canelo Alvarez's pay temporarily. But now, because Canelo is actually trying to sue DAZN, DAZN no longer wants to pay Canelo Alvarez $35 million a fight, because they just offered Canelo Alvarez $20 million a fight in mediations in this lawsuit. To me, that move tells me that DAZN is very confident to take this to trial if they have to. To offer this man less money, knowing that he's actually suing for the full $35 million a fight, and DAZN boldly says, we'll give you $20 million a fight. To me, that means DAZN doesn't have a whole lot of fear of losing this lawsuit. You also have to remember, if the contract is with Golden Boy and DAZN, this has to be good for DAZN because Golden Boy is not suing DAZN, which it would seem that, Canelo would have a better chance of winning this lawsuit if it was Canelo and Golden Boy that were suing DAZN. But since it's not Golden Boy suing DAZN, it's an uphill battle for Canelo because he has no contract with DAZN. I say all of this to tell you guys that even if Canelo were to win this lawsuit, let's just say it was a miracle, there's still no guarantee he's going to get paid out $288 million. I mean, somebody tried to sue 50 Cent for millions, and they didn't get a dime because 50 Cent filed bankruptcy. I remember Don King, he said in his movie, Only in America, Muhammad Ali was trying to sue him, and Don King was talking to one of Ali's representatives, and he said, you tell the champ that if he tries to sue me, I will file bankruptcy and he won't get a dime. Guys, there's many ways around having to pay out someone if you lose a lawsuit. Many ways, not just bankruptcy. There are many ways to get around it. So this puts Canelo in a terrible situation. Canelo no longer has this record-breaking deal with DAZN. And if he leaves DAZN, which he's trying his best to do, how is he going to get a guaranteed $30 million per fight from anyone else, especially if he's trying to fight Yildirim or Rocky Fielding or a washed-up Sergey Kovalev? Ain't nobody going to pay him that kind of money. I mean, I don't know what he'll be guaranteed, but if he wants the max, he's going to have to fight the likes of the Charlos, or Jermall Charlo, Andrade, David Benavidez. He's going to have to be put in fights that will push him to the max. Because I can tell you right now, Canelo versus Jermall Charlo, both fighters, Jermall and Canelo, they will be pushed further than they've ever been pushed. Well, of course, with the exception of Floyd Mayweather beating Canelo Alvarez, right? Let's just say since the Floyd Mayweather fight. Canelo will be pushed to his limits, but Jermall will be too. I think this is a 50-50 fight, and those are the type of fights that make you a big, true star. You got to get in there. You can't just do it every 3 or 4 years like he did with Golovkin. Canelo is still young. He's supposed to be consistently fighting the top-notch opponents like Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter, did. Oscar was fighting Tito Trinidad, Ike Corte, Pernell Whitaker, Shane Mosley. then moved all the way up to middleweight and fought Bernard Hopkins. Now, granted, Oscar thought that Bernard Hopkins was starting to get old, but still, he moved all the way up to middleweight and he fought him. But unlike Sergey Kovalev, Bernard Hopkins hadn't been knocked out twice before. And on top of that, he was unbeaten for years. No one even came close to beating Bernard Hopkins at that point. Which is what makes it so impressive for Oscar De La Hoya to move all the way up to middleweight and challenge a fighter like that. These are things that we have not seen Canelo Alvarez do. But the walls are closing in, guys. I'm gonna close this video out by asking you Canelo Alvarez fans a question. And I want you to be honest, but if you can't be honest in the comment section, be honest with your own heart. Be honest in your heart. Let's say you knew Canelo Alvarez personally. Like, he looked at you as one of his best friends. He can confide in you in anything. And he came to you one day and he said, man, I'm just tired of these Charlos and the boxing world constantly talking about the Charlo brothers, putting pressure on me, telling me I need to fight them. Every division I move up to, Jermall Charlo, he moves there. Now he's talking about he's willing to fight me at 168, 175. He becomes my mandatory. I got to give him my belt, yada, 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 yada. And then he asks you the question, what do you think I should do? What would you guys tell him? Go ahead and answer that question. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Are you ready to take your striking game to the next level? Then you've got to get the focus ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, reflex, hand-eye coordination, head movement, and striking IQ. Lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere with the focus ball.
External rotation of the shoulder, then back in.